Say and say with love. I just saw the clock and I'll try to be brief. It's an amazing occasion here again this year where we are all getting the opportunity to attend an English language Samagam and how everyone has been sharing their thoughts. And just now we were hearing about the Gyan session or the God knowledge or the Brahm Gyan. And for the years listening to this announcement or this message for the first time, it might sound as if there's a new belief system on offer here today with which you can consider an association. There may be some new ways of life being shown. But the Satguru, the true master, does not offer any belief systems. The Satguru takes me beyond any beliefs. Because the Sadguru gives me and shows me and makes me meet this one, the truth. And when in essence, I've seen this truth with my own eyes, I don't need belief anymore. But belief has been the nucleus of religion. Whenever we talk about religion or being religious, belief is all it's about. And this question of whether to believe in God or not is an age-old question being asked and answered and then debated by scholars, intellectuals of since centuries. And the other day I was reading about something known as the Pascal's wager, which was in the 17th century proposed by a philosopher, Blaise Pascal. And he said that it is always more convenient to wage on the existence of God. So I would tell you all to believe, because that is where you are to gain the most. And then he gives on and explains or dwells further on the proposal or the wager that he's making. And he goes on to say that if there is a God and I do believe in him, then the rewards are infinite. I may be sent to heaven. There is infinite possibilities of an infinite reward to be gained. And if I don't believe that God exists, but just in case it does, then I'm there to lose, because then I'll be sent to hell as a non-believer. So there's so much to lose. And then he said that if I believe that God does exist and it doesn't, then there's no much loss. It's a finite loss that I can bear with. And even if I don't believe and it does exist, still it's finite. So it's more convenient and a safer bet to place the wager on God's existence, because you're only to gain there. And when I think about this, it's an excellent argument when you think about from the rational perspective of things. But then again, it comes down to belief. And his Pascal's wager was definitely and obviously refuted by so many other philosophers who then came up with more elegant arguments, more articulate arguments to refute this fact. But now when we think about it, man likes to believe or tries to believe in some religion or in some god or in some supernatural, but doesn't want to know what is true. Belief without knowledge is just me associating with another identity. On this tour, I got the opportunity to share a thought where we often talk about atheism and theism, that there's an atheist, someone who likes to believe, a group of people who like to believe that God does not exist. Belief. I do not believe that something like God exists. It's a belief system again. And then there are theists who like to believe that there's a God which does exist. But if you think closely, they're both two sides of the same coin, believing in just the opposite causes, just the opposite systems, but just believing. And when we look even further deep down inside, we as humans, our egos like to believe, form belief systems because it strengthens my sense of existence. If I believe in certain things, I stand by it because that is how I start defining who am I. I identify with my culture, I identify with my religion, I identify with the values that I have been brought up with, I identify with the culture and maybe I identify with the patriotism that has been given to me from the country that I'm born in. But these beliefs become a part of my identity. But here the Sadguru, after revealing the truth, takes me beyond belief, takes away that desire for my ego to believe in things, because the ego will cease to exist once the truth has been realized. And if we look at it closely, religion, every religion talks of love, every religion talks of serving mankind, every religion talks about salvation, every religion talks about all the good things that man tries to achieve or tries to create a world full of all the goodness. And there are so many people, 8 billion of us, who believe in something or the other. But where has it brought us? Because our beliefs over centuries have intertwined with our existence so much that even a threat to my belief makes me want to destroy that threat. If I belong to a certain, or if I believe in a certain God, and I see someone else trying to propagate their own God, it makes me want to revolt against them. And this is where the world is heading to, because our beliefs are nothing but certain associations, certain identities that we have associated with so much, and we want to believe that my beliefs are right, the other beliefs are inferior in front of mine, because it gives me a sense of satisfaction that what I believe in is right. But when all these beliefs are taken away, what remains is how I truly am. And that is why the Sadguru says, become love. Let go of all this which is keeping you away from the others. My belief systems, your belief systems, they end up becoming a division. And that is why on the last tour, the whole theme was based on know one and be one. Because once you've actually known this one, once you come to realize this one, being one, we heard the word byproduct. It's a natural consequence of being one, once I've realized one. It's as simple as once we start heating up water and the temperature reaches 100 degrees, it's bound to evaporate. It's such a natural process. And once I've realized this truth, I'm bound to become one. the Sadguru, the grace of the Sadguru, the knowledge, this Brahm Gyan takes me beyond beliefs, because then I know. When we do the basic mathematics in school and the basic addition, 2 plus 2 is 4, and we have understood it, we have seen it, we have counted it on our fingers, we then don't need to say that I believe 2 plus 2 is 4. It's right in front of me. Similarly, this is how once this formless is revealed to me, I don't need to say that I believe and that is why I'm right or I'm wrong or someone else is wrong. This is the truth, and this is as true as it is for anyone else. It's just the process of realization. When I was listening to the respected commissioner here sharing his views on how the kind of atrocities that man is capable of, I was reminded of a memoir that I read of an artist. And therein he shared that once in his life he wanted to sketch a portrait. And he wanted to sketch the most beautiful face that was there on the face of this earth. And he searched and searched, and he finally found someone which he felt carries the most beauty, a man with the most innocence, full of life, a smile which can make someone's day. It's almost like that. You could see angels smiling through him. And he makes that portrait. And few years later in his life, 20 years later in his life, he now had a thought that I want to sketch a portrait of the most lifeless face, the most cruel of faces. And the place that he thought that I should be looking at were prisons, because he thought that is where I'll find such a face. And he ends up finding a face. And once during that time when he was making that portrait, and once the portrait was made, the man he was sketching tells him that you have drawn my face or sketched my face 20 years back as well. I'm the same person you called the most beautiful face. And I was just reminded of the thought that this is the spectrum of possibilities that we as humans have. One extreme to the other. And it is not a belief system that a Sadguru is offering. And the reason behind talking about this truth, this Brahm Gyan, it comes from a place of unparalleled compassion, because the Sadguru shows us the potential of being the most beautiful face, living the most beautiful life, and that life can only be lived when the foundation of that life is truth. And with that truth, the foundation of that life will become love, oneness, peace. That's all, like we heard today, are byproducts. And it is in this spectrum that is one extreme, and where else we can reach is the other extreme, from the most beautiful face to the most lifeless to the most cruel face. And we have seen sometimes just within one day or in few moments of a single day or a single hour, we can see how from feeling the most beautiful of things, we can go down to feeling so much anger just because something didn't go down well with us. Every day we get to see the pendulum swing. Every day we can introspect and see the spectrum of possibilities of where I can fall to or where I can rise to. And the Sadguru, by offering this truth, this priceless truth, is telling us that this is the potential that each one of us has to rise beyond all beliefs, to rise beyond all barriers, to rise beyond hatred, to rise beyond finding reasons where I want to separate myself, to rise beyond all of it and to realize that we essentially all are one. And in this oneness lies true bliss. In this oneness lies the peace within that we all have been hearing about today. Saints say with love, nirankari.